Which use case is not suitable for Amazon Rekognition? Correct answer: enabling multilingual user experiences in applications. Explanation: Amazon Rekognition is designed for image and video analysis. It can identify objects, people, text, scenes, and activities. It also supports face recognition and media library search. However, it does not support multilingual user experiences, that's handled by Amazon Translate or Amazon Poly. Why others are incorrect? Celebrity recognition: Rekognition can detect and identify famous personalities. Searchable media libraries: Rekognition helps index and search visual media content. Face-based user identity verification: Rekognition supports facial comparison and user verification. A law firm wants to use LLMs to extract key points from lengthy legal documents. Which approach best fits this need? Correct answer: develop a summarization chatbot. Explanation: a summarization chatbot built using large language models can read large text passages and extract main points effectively, ideal for legal documents. Why others are incorrect? Translation system: used for language translation, not summarization. Named entity recognition: extracts entities like names, dates, not summaries. Recommendation engine: suggests items, not summaries. An AI developer has built an image classification model and wants to evaluate its performance. Which metric should they use? Correct answer: confusion matrix. Explanation: a confusion matrix shows how many predictions were correct or incorrect across classes, ideal for classification models. Why others are incorrect? R superscript 2 score, used for regression problems. MSE, measures error in regression outputs. Correlation matrix, measures relationships between variables, not classification accuracy. A company expanding its use of AI wants clear guidelines, oversight, and accountability. Which AI principle is most relevant? Correct answer: governance. Explanation: AI governance establishes frameworks for ethical use, accountability, and transparency in AI systems. Why others are incorrect? Bias prevention, a sub-aspect of governance. Accuracy and reliability, focuses on model quality, not oversight. Data protection, relates to security, not governance. In a social network dataset where users are interconnected, which algorithm best classifies relationships between users? Correct answer: graph neural networks. Explanation: graph neural networks are designed for data with relational or network structures, such as social graphs. Why others are incorrect? Decision trees, logistic regression, and linear regression don't handle relationship-based data structures. What is the purpose of Amazon SageMaker feature store? Correct answer: serve consistent features for training and inference. Explanation: SageMaker Feature Store centralizes and manages ML features for consistency across training and inference pipelines. Why others are incorrect? Replace Glue. Glue is used for ETL, not replaced by Feature Store. IAM roles, managed by AWS IAM, not Feature Store. Logs, model performance logs are stored elsewhere. Which metric is best for evaluating machine translation quality? Correct answer, Blue. Explanation: bilingual evaluation understudy measures how close a machine translation is to human translations. Why others are incorrect? Rouge, used for summarization evaluation. F1 score, classification metric. AUC, used for binary classifiers. Which AWS service identifies sensitive personal data like names, credit card numbers etc. in Amazon S3 datasets? Correct answer, Amazon Macy. Explanation: Amazon Macy uses ML to detect and protect PII in S3 data. Why others are incorrect? IAM manages access, not data inspection. CloudTrail logs AWS API activity. Textract extracts text from documents, not PII detection. Which AWS services are regional in scope? Correct answers: AWS Lambda and AWS Recognition. Explanation: Lambda functions are deployed within an AWS region. You must choose the region when creating a function, and it runs only in that region unless you replicate it. Recognition is tied to a specific AWS region. When you use the API, you must specify the region endpoint because images and videos are processed and stored regionally. Why others are incorrect? AWS Identity and Access Management, Global Service. IAM operates globally across all regions in your AWS account. Users, roles, and policies apply universally, not regionally. Amazon CloudFront, Global Service. CDN uses a worldwide network of edge locations, not confined to a single region. AWS WAF, global or regional depending on usage. AWS WAF can be associated with CloudFront, that is global or regional resources like an application load balancer. However, by default and most common usage with CloudFront makes it global in scope. Which use case demonstrates the value of generative AI models? Correct answer: creating photorealistic images from text prompts. Explanation: generative AI specializes in creating new content, images, text, or music from data or prompts. Why others are incorrect? Database indexing, traditional database optimization. Financial forecasting, predictive, not generative, modeling. Intrusion detection, uses anomaly detection or supervised learning. A company trained a model that predicts product prices. It performs well on training data but poorly in production. What should the company do to improve real-world performance? Correct answer: increase the amount of training data. Explanation: the issue describes overfitting, where the model memorizes training data and fails to generalize. Increasing data diversity helps improve generalization. Why others are incorrect? Add hyperparameters. Hyperparameters already exist, tuning them might help, but not as much as adding more data. Reduce training data, worsens generalization. Increase training time, can increase overfitting instead of fixing it. A company using the Amazon Titan model via Amazon Bedrock wants to enhance responses using its own private business data. What should they do? Correct answer: create an Amazon Bedrock knowledge base. Explanation: knowledge bases for Bedrock let you ground foundation model responses in your private company data using retrieval augmented generation. Why others are incorrect? Temperature controls response creativity, not grounding. Invocation logging tracks usage, not context. Different model doesn't integrate private data automatically. A researcher wants to adapt a pre-trained ML model for a new domain-specific task with limited labeled data. Which approach is best? Correct answer: fine-tuning with labeled data from the new domain. Explanation: fine-tuning efficiently adapts a pre-trained model to a new domain, especially when labeled data is limited. Why others are incorrect? Continued pre-training, useful for domain expansion, but less effective without labels. Using as is, won't adapt to new data domain. Training from scratch, requires far more data and resources. Which algorithms are typically used for classification tasks in ML? Correct answers: XGBoost and Support Vector Machine. Explanation: both SVM and XGBoost are widely used for classification problems. Why others are incorrect? K-means, unsupervised clustering algorithm. Mean shift, also an unsupervised clustering method. A healthcare organization wants to predict diabetes risk. Which metrics best evaluate this binary classification model? Correct answers: recall sensitivity and area under ROC curve. Explanation: in healthcare, identifying all true positive cases is crucial. Recall measures how well the model detects positive cases among all actual positives. Missing a positive could be dangerous in a medical scenario. Area under the receiver operating characteristic curve evaluates how well the model distinguishes between classes across various thresholds. Gives a balanced view of sensitivity and specificity. Useful for comparing models' discriminatory power. Why others are incorrect? Accuracy can be misleading when classes are imbalanced. A model predicting no diabetes for everyone could show high accuracy but poor clinical usefulness. F1 score: while F1 balances precision and recall, in healthcare recall is often prioritized more than overall balance. Missing a high-risk patient is costlier than a false alarm. Precision measures how many predicted positives are truly positive. It's valuable in contexts where false positives are costly, but less critical in health risk screening where missing a case is more serious. A company is improving chatbot intent detection using few-shot learning with an LLM. What data should be provided for training? Correct answer, pairs of user messages and correct user intents. Explanation, few-shot learning examples must show the model how user inputs map to intents to improve intent recognition. Why others are incorrect. All other pairs don't align user inputs with their intended meaning directly. A company has large amounts of unlabeled customer data and wants to categorize customers for targeted advertising. Which learning method should be used? Correct answer, unsupervised learning. Explanation, unsupervised learning like clustering groups data without labels ideal for segmentation. Why others are incorrect. Reinforcement learning involves rewards, not clustering. Supervised learning needs labeled data. RLHF used for fine-tuning LLMs, not customer segmentation. A retail marketing team wants to prevent certain words like competitor names from appearing in AI-generated promotional content. What prompting technique is this? Correct answer, negative prompting. Explanation, negative prompting instructs the model on what not to include in its output. Why others are incorrect. Few shot provides examples of desired outputs. Zero shot, no examples, just a direct prompt. Chain of thought encourages step-by-step reasoning. Which AWS combination best supports a chatbot that can understand spoken language and reply with generated speech? Correct answer, Amazon Transcribe plus Amazon Polly. Explanation, Transcribe converts speech to text. Polly converts text to natural speech. Why others are incorrect. Textract extracts text from documents. Comprehend performs text analysis, not speech processing. Amazon Q, a generative AI assistant, not a speech tool. An organization must automatically delete ML data after a set period. Which AWS feature should be used? Correct answer, Amazon S3 Lifecycle Policies. Explanation, Lifecycle policies automatically delete or move S3 objects after a defined time ideal for retention management. Why others are incorrect. Lambda can delete manually but not automatic lifecycle control. Lex used for chatbots. Model tuning optimizes ML models, unrelated to retention. When is it most appropriate to use human in the loop with Amazon A2I? Correct answer, when model outputs must be verified for accuracy. Explanation, Amazon A2I enables human review of ML predictions, ensuring quality and correctness. Why others are incorrect. Speech to text, done via Amazon Transcribe. To store model parameters and to increase Bedrock token limits are not related to human review. Which AWS service helps you catalog and govern AI-related datasets? Correct answer, Amazon Data Zone. Explanation, Data Zone manages and catalogs data assets, enabling governance and secure sharing across teams. Why others are incorrect? Inspector, security scanning tool. S3, object storage, not cataloging. Artifact, compliance documents, not data governance. Why would an organization use continuous pre-training with a foundation model? Correct answer, to keep the model updated with recent data. Explanation, continuous pre-training allows the model to learn from new data sources, keeping it current and contextually aware. Why others are incorrect? All other options are relate to model currency or updating knowledge. A company fine-tuned a custom summarization model for internal use and wants to use it via Amazon Bedrock. What should they do? Correct answer, grant access to the custom model in Amazon Bedrock. Explanation, custom models in Bedrock require explicit access permissions before invocation through APIs. Why others are incorrect? Deploy it on a SageMaker endpoint and register it in a SageMaker model registry, apply to SageMaker deployment, not Bedrock. Purchase provision throughput, manages performance capacity, not access. A customer service chatbot uses an LLM in Amazon Bedrock. It needs to recall context from earlier in the conversation. What's the best solution? Correct answer, add previous messages to the model prompt. Explanation, LLMs are stateless, so past conversation history must be re-included in the prompt for continuity. Why others are incorrect? Provision throughput, increases speed, not memory. Invocation logs, store data, not conversational context. Personalize, used for recommendations, not chat memory.